Okay, so for the first solve, your cube shape was good. You did 1, 2, and then one slice to scallop kite, and then solve scallop kite. Now, here's the first flaw in the solve. For this CO, you did U2 and paired these two corners, and then U prime D2 to pair those corners. What you should have done for CO is pair this corner with this corner in one slice, and then you would have only had to do a D instead of a D2. And it's much better to be having to do U2s than a D2. So that's what you should have done for CO, and it's the same amount of slices. Going back to what you did, your EO was fine. You just had 3, 3. Then this was CP was pretty bad. So I don't think you looked ahead to CP during EO, which you should be doing every solve. So what you did is U prime D D2, and then your CP alg. That setup in the beginning was really bad. You should have just automatically done the D prime and then gone straight into it like this. And then you get the same case. And even you did a U prime right here, and this will put the edge in front. But if you hadn't done that, you would have gotten the edge, because what you did you forced the edge in front here, and then a U prime when you did it, because you had it here, and then you did that U prime. But if you had this right here, you wouldn't have had to do that U prime. It just cancels out a move. But so here, what you did, your EP solution was pretty good. You did a U prime and then an O perm, and then you canceled into edge. So your CO and CP were very bad on that solve. That's the only flaw of this first solve. Okay, so for this first solve, once again, your cube shape was fine. You did that, and then you did 2 slices to scallop. Now, once again, here's one flaw. So what you did is that, and then D to that. But what you should have done is a D prime, because then you can do slice D prime slice, and that's better than doing U/D/ in my opinion. But that's just my opinion. I can execute it faster because I don't like doing personally, for me, I don't like U's. I prefer U primes, and that's just an easy way not to do a U. So that's what I would have done, but whatever works best for you. So then you had 3, 3. You did that fine. It's just EO. There's nothing really wrong with it. Then you did U prime D2, and then so right here, I don't expect you to see this because it was pretty advanced, but what you could have done here is after doing the JJ, you had this, and then you went into the 3 slice op. What you could have done is done the JJ, and then right here, you could have canceled into op. But I wouldn't expect you to see that because that's pretty advanced, but do be looking ahead to EP. It can be helpful, and it's pretty simple to predict. Then what you did is you aligned it for parity. Now what you did is you did parity from here and then a D prime at the end. But what you should have done is a D prime to start with, so you don't have to end with it. It's always better to align it to where it's a D prime away, so that way you don't have to do any ADF after you execute parity. So there's our third solve. Okay, so for the third solve, how you did cube shape is 1 slice to kite scallop, and so this is weird. So you did slice, but then you did a -1, -2 slice D prime slice. What I prefer to do is U prime slice and then same start except finish like this. So you have to do a D instead of a D prime. I just think it's better to do a D instead of a D prime. it's easier for Fingertricks, so I would recommend using that. COEO is fine. You had one slice CO into 3-3. Then you had PJO. So your CP itself was fine, but there was a huge lockup during this, and that shouldn't be happening. That's such a it's like a good alg, and it shouldn't be locked up on like that much. As for EP, your EP solution was fine. You had AJ-O, and you did AJ into good U perms, and then canceled, and then U prime D prime. So your solve itself was fine, except the cube shape alg wasn't the best. I prefer doing the D moves, and you had a huge lockup on CP. Those were really the only problems with the solve. Okay, so for your fourth solve, what you did is you did a Z2, I think. No, sorry, Y2, and then you solved cube shape like this, which was fine, I guess, but what I would have done is I wouldn't have rotated, and I would have done it like this. If you had just done a 4 on top and then started with a down slice, it would have been much better for Fingertricks, and I think that's just a better solution for cube shape in general, to do it in back instead of rotating and then doing it in front. Here's the next flaw. This CO solution was pretty bad. So what you did is you did a 4 and then like that, so you preserved all of this, and then you got 1-1. That was pretty bad. What you should have just done is 1 on top and then a D, not worrying about this, and then did slash D prime slice U prime slice. That's a much better solution to do. Then what you did is 1-1, and then your CP recognition wasn't the greatest. You had JN, and it was smart to preserve this to force a W and preserve this, so good job. And then you did JN, and then to solve the bottom, and then you just have W on top, and then what you did is U2, and then just solve it. So your cube shape and CO was pretty bad. That's really the only problem with this solve. Okay, so your last solve was pretty bad. So starting off with cube shape, what you did is 2 slices to scallop kite like this, and then you solved it like that. What I would have done is a U2, and then you can just do 2 much easier slices to shield squares. So you set it up like this, and then pair this, and then it's just this case. So it's 2 much easier slices, and you could have done something like that. It would have been much better. Now, going back with your cube shape solution, what you did is that. What you should have done is this, setting up like this, because D's are a lot better than D primes. Going on with your solution, what you did is a U2 and then slice D prime, slice D prime, slice. What you should have done is U2 D slice D slice D slice. That's just, once again, D's are much better than D primes. Then what you did is you did U prime D, and then for some reason you did a D2. That was completely unnecessary because it does the same thing, it just swaps these two. the D2 and D doesn't affect it. So that D2 was really pointless. And then what you did for EO is this. You used this alg. So I don't like that alg. What I think a better alg to do is this. Is you start like that, and then M2, and then solve it. It's really similar, just a different starting position and a little different alignments. I'll put the alg in the description and on screen. Now your CP was fine. You did D2. The recognition wasn't great, but it was still fine. Preserving this was good. So you did NJ. And now you did D2 and then 10 slice U. What you should have done is set it up in the back and then just done one slice, so you could have canceled out that U. And then parity. And then cancel into the slice D prime. Okay, so in conclusion, you need to work on these 5 things right here. Those are very important, and I will link videos and websites down in the description to help you with that, mostly EO and cube shape. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope this helped. If anybody else is interested in my critique service, I will leave a link down in the description. You can click on that video to get all the information. I hope you guys have a nice day. Bye, guys.